Hey garden friends, today we're going to dig up and transplant a Tess d'Urberville rose. I'm going to share with you digging it out of the barrel. We're going to put it in the back Secret Cottage Garden on the arbor we put there. But also I'm going to splice in the progress of the greenhouse as my husband was putting it up this day as well. So come on along and let's have some fun watching the greenhouse go up and planting a rose. It's all fun. Progress on the greenhouse here. He's got it staged with the pieces and he's starting to put up the first corner. So this should go together pretty quickly. He will have to build some scaffolding to put the trusses on, but this is a great beginning. We're under the gun here because it's going to rain this coming week and we need to get as much as this up, and the temperatures are going to drop into the 30s, so it's going to get pretty cold, which would makes for icy conditions. So I'm working on these roses in the barrels. Here's the first one. I was getting ready to chop it back so that I can move it over to the Secret Cottage Garden arbor there. But when I cut back all of the the hollyhock, sorry for the noise. This is what I found. Look at that, those morning glory. I think this is Milky Way or Star. I'll look it up. Anyways, isn't those just gorgeous? They're huge too, and the bees are loving them. So I'm just going to enjoy them for the next couple days. They will totally get zapped with the 30-degree temperatures we're expecting on Saturday evening. So I will just take a couple days and enjoy the rose on there. And then let me turn you around slowly. So I'm just going to go ahead and work on this one. First I got to chop out the hollyhocks, then I'll chop back the rose, even though it has some roses on it, and then I can get to digging this one up. It's kind of late in the day, so I don't know if I'll get to digging it up today, but I am going to chop everything back and chop the rose itself back. I think this is going to go pretty quick. So yeah, first these volunteer hollyhocks are going to have to go. They are beautiful, but now it's time to remove them so that I can really get to the things here. Let me put this shovel over here. Can you hear the frog? Tree frog close by. Okay, let me get down here. Now I did cut these hollyhocks back in the spring. Can you see that? And then they regrew. And yeah, it's caught in the rose. I didn't want to have to get up. Getting up and down is tough on my knees. I'll pull that down later. All right. Now once I get the rose out of this barrel, I am going to have to dig them out completely, and then we'll move the barrels and I'll use them somewhere else in the gardens. Here, they're big wine barrels. Some people call them whiskey barrels. These ones are from a local winery, so that's why I call them wine barrels. So I don't know if this one's sitting on the ground. The other one over there that I showed you with the other hollyhock in it, here's the hollyhock coming up in the barrel itself, which I don't want. Oh, I'm gonna have to dig it out. It's already got too well rooted. If you put them up on like bricks or something like that, the bottoms won't rot out as quickly and they'll last. I had some last me over 20 years. So the tag for my sugar sweet lilac clematis that died on me. Okay, so now I'm going to cut this rose back to about 12 inches tall. So I probably should start at the top, but I won't. I'm going to just cut in increments and pull it off the support that I have here for it. Let me pull it with this. This is pretty stickery. Okay. you do it whichever way you find the easiest. No matter what, it's a prickly job. Now I had put a root pod on here anticipating rooting this one, and I doubt, whoops, I just cut off the top. I doubt it did because I did not keep track of it this summer and keep it watered. So yes, it never did. It healed over, but it never did make roots. So that was my bad. Oh yeah, there is roots on there. Oh my goodness. I wonder if I could pot that up, because there is a very small root right there. I'm gonna go do that right now. I'm gonna go pot this up and maybe it will survive my torturous treatment. Amazing. All right, I'm gonna go do that. I'll be back. So here is that poor little rooted cane. Had a very tiny root on it. I don't know if it'll make it, especially as I cut the top off, which might have helped give it some energy. But I'm going to give it the organic Rev, which is a root stimulant, and hope for the best. No worries if it doesn't work, because I didn't think it had worked. So it's just a bonus if it does. All right. So I don't know how much you saw because I was cutting up here. I can't see. Yeah. All right. So I was cutting and pulling the rose canes through. It's wrapped around this support, which is really a topiary frame. Let me push you up a little bit since I'm done below. Yeah, so up here is more of the canes, and I'm just incrementally cutting, pulling to see what I need to cut to pull that piece out. It's just like a puzzle. You've got to pull it apart and figure out what's the next best step to take. Now the the roses, ooh, very stickery. Now this is Tess of the D'Urbervilles, however you pronounce that. Yeah, see, it has some roses on it, but I don't think they're worth salvaging, so it's too stickery to fuss with. Now I'm okay with doing this because, as I said, we're gonna get pretty close to freezing in the next few nights. So let me see, tonight's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday, so Saturday evening. So I'm just gonna keep cutting, and this rose will get dug out of here. Let me see, that's an extra long cane. I didn't realize that one had gotten so long. Cut them down into increments that are workable. Okay, so this is the tedious part because it just takes so much time. But this rose is super vigorous, and it will cover within 2 years, 2 seasons, the arbor that I have over the entrance to the Secret Cottage Garden, and it'll be beautiful all summer long. I've got to make sure I plant it in gopher cages, because as soon as I don't, they'll eat it. This seemed to be one of them that they targeted. I don't know about you, but some things in my garden, some roses, particular varieties, will be targeted, and others they'll leave completely alone. I'm not sure the whys or wherefores, but that's been my experience. And I got back of my hair caught in another rose. It's super nice out here. It's probably about 60 degrees. Very pleasant to work in. Okay. Yes, I don't finish it. I was that. All right, I got to clean up this mess down here before I can proceed further, because I'm going to hurt myself if I don't. So I'm going to clean up this mess, and I'll be back. So I got the topiary form pulled out, but I have to cut the irrigation hose that went into the barrel. I'm not going to probably use the irrigation for a while. I can just put a goof plug in the end of the hose if I need to, but we're going to get 1.5 inches of rain coming this next week. So I don't foresee using the irrigation system. So I know you can't see it, but Trust me, I'm just cutting the main hose. Well, that was dumb because I needed to cut this part. It was wrapped around this. See, I had a 1/4-inch drip line in the barrel, but that's okay. So this is where I cut it previously. And that's the part down there that I need to put the plug in if I'm going to use that irrigation. But I will probably put like a sprayer nozzle or something because I am going to put a rose right here on the edge of this arbor. I think I'm going to put my Kiss Me Kate here. I think that'll be a beautiful pink rose, very vigorous. And since my, this is the new Dawn that didn't do a thing for 2 years. Next year, if this thing does not bloom its heart out like crazy, it's out of here. I don't care. I don't know. It just doesn't, it didn't bloom for me. So if it's not going to bloom, I don't need it. So I know a lot of people have had great success with it, and I don't know why it's not doing a thing here. Now, I had one out on the front arbors where my Eden rose is now, and it did bloom prolifically, but it was so messy. It was always losing petals. There was petals all over the sidewalk. It did keep blooming, but you know, I didn't like it not holding on to the flowers longer. I put it here because I didn't think I would mind the petals falling on the ground and all of that, and I wanted the masses of blooms. Didn't do anything. So anyways, that is that. I'll cut this piece back a little bit. The Kiss Me Kate, I know, performs beautifully. This spot gets a lot of hot sun in the summer. The Kiss Me Kate does not get browned or singed from the blooms from the hot sun. So that's a good spot for that one. And I have that in a pot right there. I had taken it out from where we put in the chicken pen beside the old greenhouse, which is now the chicken house. Okay, move the topiary form, set my pruners down, my little nippers, and that excess hose. And let's see, got another hollyhock that came up in there. Let's see, look at my shovel. Before I dig this up, I really should go and dig out the hole or where it's going to go so I can go right from here into that hole. It's always something. It's almost 3:30. Okay, I got to think about this because I try to have myself start cleaning up at a certain time so I'm not leaving a big mess to come back to. And my time frame is usually 3:30. Give myself half an hour of cleanup because I have a tendency to leave piles everywhere. And yeah, I'm doing myself under. I need to get more organized. I'm attempting to. Well, okay, the one thing I could do is to dig up the hollyhock out of it. And then I could really see what I'm working with as far as the rose. Okay. So let's see. There's also an iris in there. I don't know how that got in there. And is there another hollyhock? Oh, and another hollyhock. Let me see if I can just pull that one up. Not very big. With it being so full, I didn't notice all those extra plants coming up in there. Okay. Let me see how easy I think this is going to be to dig up. Because it's in here, I can't really get a foot down in there. I may have to dig out around, get the dig the dirt out. And then, because I don't try to be Superwoman, if I feel it's beyond my capability or if I may hurt myself, I'll ask my husband. He could probably pull it right out with no effort at all. Don't you sometimes resent that men get all the strength? I know I do. I could get so much more done if I didn't have to ask him to help. Now, I could work at it and work at it and work at it, and I could do it. But when it's faster to just ask him for 5 minutes, that to me is a smarter effort or a smarter use of, to me, that's the smarter way to go. Even though right now he's still working on the greenhouse. In fact, I want to go take a look at it and film a clip because I'm trying to get incremental clips as he's putting it up. So he started erecting it this morning, and we'll see how far he's gotten. Can you see that? He's got the one wall done, and the other wall is coming along too. So, yeah, this is going to go fast now that he's gotten started. on this part. Alrighty, so this is the spot over here where I'm going to put that rose. So that Tess rose coming out of the barrel. So let me move this paver here. I have a good place for that. I'll just set it there for now. I'm going to dig up this black-eyed Susan and get rid of the weeds. There's a lot of oxalis down there. But perfect spot. Now you'd think it would get too much shade over here, but actually right through here is where the sun comes in the summer. So it gets plenty of sun when it needs it the most. So I'm gonna get rid of this oxalis. I will be battling that the whole time. I will try to mulch around it, the base of the rose, very well, or put a nice ground cover that kind of blocks a lot of the oxalis. But I'm not too worried about it. I could put a big thick layer of alfalfa hay, just the big chunks of it, and then nothing will come up through it. It'll feed it, and then I could put a little bit of bark on top. That way you use less bark, but you get plenty of coverage, weed suppressing coverage. So make sure my backside's not showing. All right, let's get that black-eyed Susan up, because we don't want it there. I just let it go because it was pretty, and it just came up from seed, and I knew it would do well. Oh dear, I cut my coleus. I have a feeling this coleus is going to be toast this weekend too. So it's not the end of the world that I chopped off a bit of it. Okay. Right, that spot looks pretty well cleared. I have a hosta coming up there, which I will dig that up and pot it up. I can give to somebody or put it somewhere else in the garden. My hostas all have gotten huge and I need to divide them, but I just don't have time right now. So here's a beautiful little hosta. I will go put that in a pot and then we'll come back and finish this up. Finish getting the black-eyed Susan dug up. Alrighty, got the hosta potted up. And now I'm just gonna start on this black-eyed Susan. I could cut it back, but I'm just gonna get with it and not worry about that part. And this will just be composted. But first, a lot of times I'll put this in a pile where the birds can eat the seed heads and get nourishment. Or I put it in my chicken pen and they can munch on it. So we'll toss that aside for now. So now, let's see, let's get this all as weed free as we can. I have to say, the weeds are not too bad for not being weeded all summer long. But back here, it seems the most struggle I have is with oxalis. Oxalis, I don't know how you pronounce it. But there we go. Some up here. Now right here, I have some creeping chamomile. And right here is some of that heron's bill, which is real pretty. It's been kind of shaded a lot because of everything here. All right, I'm digging up. Now there's some violets, sweet violets. I didn't want that going crazy there. I've got some more oxalis to get up. Now everything else in here is pretty much blue star creeper, which is a really nice ground cover, and it's spreading nicely. So okay, I think we're ready for that rose. I think I'm actually going to get this done tonight. So sweet success. So let's get this planted. My, does it have a massive rootstock. I'm going to have to really dig a hole for that thing. Look at that. Crazy. All right, here's where I'm going to put it. I gave you this angle so you're not looking at my backside the whole time. And I could, so that I could get it in here better, I can cut this super duper rootstock back. And I got to get this iris out of here. That's in the way. So let me see, I got my pruners there. And I am going to cut this heavy, chunky root back, and it'll be just fine. It will go ahead and send out roots down into this ground and continue to grow on. Great. And I'll tell you something in a minute. Just don't let me forget. Well, I'll tell you while I'm doing this. Any of these long ones, I'm cutting them back to probably maybe 4 inches. And that will work fine because they'll send out new feeder roots and we'll send down extra big roots here. I got to cut this little one back before I get that. Sorry if the trellis is in the way, but just trust me, I'm lopping back these big old roots. I should check and make sure the camera's on this area. So yeah, I got to go find I have another container that has a cage for this. So that'll work. Okay. These dead ones are looking half dead. Limbs over here. I think those will need to go. And that one there is what I want to already chop back. To continue with that one, I should get a saw, but let's see, I can do that later. So this one here at the base is looking pretty yucky, so I'm going to cut that one off. Okay, that one has a tie on it. All right, let's see, that one's crossing, so now I just cut that off. Okay, this will all send out new sprouts and growth. Okay, this just spurs it on. All right, this one's kind of a twiggy growth. We'll cut that back. And that one, oh, maybe that one can stay. It's coming up from down there. Oh, let's cut that out too. Just to have it focus on this one area going up. Okay. I don't think this one was own root, but I don't see a graft, so I could be wrong. I may have gotten own root with this one. All right, let me get my shovel, start digging that hole. Now, yeah, I'm gonna go check the camera really quick. Yeah, pretty much think I was in it. Yeah, I was. Okay, so remove my pruner so I don't bury them. And get to digging our hole. Hitting some mighty hard clay. So we'll see. But you know, roses don't mind clay at all. All right, let's see. Can I fit it down in there? Nope. Boy, them roots are really gnarly. Okay, give it some more. Oops, got a big old fat night crawler in there. I don't want to harm him. There you go, buddy. Go up there. Okay, let's try this again. Yeah, that's kind of... This growth right here is what is hanging us up. So I guess I'll go wider. Like I said, I'd probably take a saw to that and get it out of there. Okay, yeah, let me see, make sure it's all loose in the bottom. Let's fit it down in there. More, a little bit wider. Now, I'm lazy. I don't go with the dig it twice as wide as the root mass or whatever. I just make sure it fits in there. And let me tell you, it finds its way. Okay. Now this is where it was at in the barrel, so that's where you want one the same depth. I'll hose that in a little bit, and then we'll put some more. That way I know it's getting down under the root mass. Now, since this is such heavy clay underneath, it may take it a while for that water to penetrate. So, okay, now the water has gone or filtered down through the soil, which is great. That shows that it has decent drainage. Didn't take that long at all. So now I'm going to finish scooping all of this back. Sadly, I'm messing up my coleus there that I stacked it on, but that's okay. This was an important task and needed doing, and I needed to be able to do it fast. And like I said, 2 days these things will be cooked. Okay. All this in here, and go ahead and pull out those coleus roots. I could have left them in there, but got more dirt to pull back over. I'm debating on what kind of ground cover to put here. That white Nancy dead nettle would look pretty over here. It really shines through. And this is some weeds that need to go. And that, my friends, I'm going to press it in gently with my shoe or my foot. And then I'll again water it down. So I'll make sure there's no air pockets. So 1 rose down, transplanted for this arbor. Let me back up so you can see it. In my small screen, I can't really see it well, but I think it's showing up on the camera. You can see the top of the arbor right here. And right down there is where we planted the rose, right down in here. And then where this stump is and my succulent planter, that's where the other rose will go. So I'm either going to put it in a big pot and on the other side of the stump. That stump is deteriorating, so I probably have my husband chop it out and we can get rid of most of it, but the soil there is going to be full of woody bits and the roots are going to be rotting away and it'll sink. So I probably will put the rose in a big container until all that is done underground, meaning it rotting away and sinking and doing whatever it's going to do, rather than me putting the rose directly in the soil, because all of the wood fibers down there would really suck up the nitrogen and rob the rose of nutrients. So it may look a little off, but once I get some plants planted on this side, over here around the base of this rose, it won't. And the whole eye will be caught by the beautiful red roses climbing up and over the arbor. So that's my plan so far. We will see how it all pans out. We're going to end this here. I just wanted to show you this right here. I know I don't have the camera angled well, but this is a limb or a cane of the rose that laid down on the soil, got buried with a little bit of soil, and it rooted. When I dug up the Tess rose out of that barrel, there was this piece left, and I pulled it up, and it was a cane, as I said, that had laid down on soil. That's called layering. Now, I shared with you in a previous video years ago on my clematis and how I propagate clematis by layering. You lay a limb on the ground, you pin it down, you cover it with soil, and it will root. Many things will root that way, and roses is one of them. And so I got a spare rose here, and I didn't even know it. I didn't even try. And we'll see if the other one that I did try to air layer, there's a difference. Layering is when you lay it on the ground, cover a portion with soil, and it roots. And air layering is when you do like that little pod that you fill. You scrape away that to the cambium on the cane. I have a whole video and a blog post on air layering. And yeah, they're different, but the premise is the same, meaning that cane roots, puts out roots. And here I have a beautiful, pretty decent sized little Tess rose. So that's just what I wanted to share, the bonus I found as I was digging out that rose. Now, like I said, I still have the other one, but first I've got to get that, I shouldn't say first. What I will do is I can dig up that rose and I can put it in a big pot. And then I'll put the pot there later. But for now, it can get going in the pot. And we'll see how that goes. And we'll see how long it takes us to get that stump semi-removed. It's already rotten away. I'm surprised that barrel of succulents, or can, or the big tub, is still sitting there because it's just crumbling. Yeah, so we'll take care of that. But right now, my husband's got to focus on getting that greenhouse done, and we are almost there. So before we leave, there is the greenhouse so far. Now the big wide opening, that's going to be a pair of French doors, and off the front of it, there's going to be a porch. So it's going to be protected from the snow when I go in and out. But isn't it gorgeous already?